Hi, Facebook land and YouTube land. My name is Julie Grimm. I haven't made a video in quite some time, but I'm happy to be here today and talk to you about something that is oh so close to my heart. Um, it has to do with all of my people pleasers out there, all of my yes men, and any person who struggles to speak their truth. Because this has been something that I have long struggled with and have currently reached a new level of understanding and awareness with, which is both liberating but also, brings its new challenges. So my hopes in creating this video for you today is to help you in your own journey to speak your truth, to say no with self-respect and, of course, love, and generally facilitate harmony and peace within yourself and in the world around you, because ultimately when we don't speak our truth, when we people please, what we're doing is creating struggle and resentment within ourselves, and that basically is the opposite of peace. All right, so first things first, I paired together speaking your truth, being a people pleaser, and being kind of like overly responsible yes man together. On the surface, they might not seem interconnected, but when we dig a little bit deeper as to what's going on, we see that oftentimes they're fueled by really similar patterns. So what's going on? When we don't speak our truth, typically what's behind that is that there's a fear around creating actually the opposite of peace, right? That confrontation or that potential anger or resentment existing outside of ourselves. So we might have early on in our lives experienced a moment where we said our truth and people responded negatively. It might have hurt them, or it might have created tension in our immediate environment. And so we sort of said, okay, that's bad. I shouldn't do that anymore. This also creates this dynamic where we're prioritizing other people's emotional states over our own. So we're willing to not speak our truth and create inner tension for the sake of outer tension, not seeing that actually they're interrelated, and that if we're not at peace, the external environment can't be at peace either. Another thing that's going on there is that we're prioritizing other people's emotional state and well-being over our own. So we're prioritizing their truth, their opinion, their voice over our own voice. We're saying maybe my voice isn't worthy, maybe it's not as important. And we're also saying, if I'm a people pleaser, maybe my time isn't as valuable as this other person's time. Maybe their contentment and well-being and happiness is more important than my contentment, well-being, and happiness. So I'm going to go above and beyond, even though it creates overwhelm, stress, and resentment within myself. And I'm going to go do it. Same thing with being overly responsible, right? You're devaluing your own time, your own effort. You're trying to please, to placate the situation, putting yourself out there more than is actually okay with you. So there's also a certain significant amount of fear that's involved with all of these situations, right? You're afraid potentially of the hurt, of the conflict, and of the negativity, and you'd rather just bottle all of that up within yourself than to deal with it outside. Not necessarily, which if you are any of these people, you know what I'm going to say. That's mentally what's going on, but what's the reality of the situation? That same tension now is just within you, and it's uncomfortable, it's painful. You still have to deal with it, you're just dealing with it inside. And I like to think of this as kind of like a pimple. It starts off as a blackhead, right? But that pore gets clogged. It's like you're literally clogging your ability to speak. And that resentment, that tension, that voice doesn't just dissipate and disappear. It becomes like this pus-filled pimple. So although you might think that you're not creating disharmony in the environment around you, it's actually usually pretty obvious to people outside that there's something going on. Like they can see that pimple festering and they're kind of just like, I don't know exactly what that is, but there's something happening here. So what's a positive way for us to reclaim our power in the situation? Things that have been really supportive and helpful for me is realizing that when I speak my truth, I set myself and other people free. right? When I'm creating a web of lies, not only am I caught in it, but other people are too. And oftentimes they might not be totally aware of what's happening, but they do feel on some level extremely uncomfortable. And they might not know how to get out because they can't really see what they're in. And it's a web of lies that I've created of my own device. So when I speak my truth, I set myself and them free. It's also like lancing that pimple. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cough. Nothing to do with speaking your truth. It's also like lancing that pimple, right? Like when I lance it, when I finally create an opening, all of that bacteria and old boiling resentment is allowed to escape and healing can take place. So if that's the environment that I'm in, I'm actually providing like a huge catharsis for the space by opening that vehicle for transformation and for healing, simply by speaking my truth, saying no when it's too much for me, or perhaps if I'm overly responsible, delegating delegating responsibility to other people that can help out, rather than taking it all on myself and then feeling resentful. So those are some quick tips and tricks for you. I love to hear back what your successes or your struggles have been in this avenue. And of course, as always, I'm always here to chat with people who feel called to. So much love to you all. Be well.